Alright, so after Compton University won their 8th national championship in 10 years. If you guys cannot go see that video out, go check that out. Link is in the description. And also subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But after Compton won their eighth straight national championship and had their 10th straight Heisman Trophy winner in Kevin Jermaine, they was under NCAA investigation throughout that whole final season. Now, as I stated before, if you guys are not go check out that video, go check that out. In which I stated before the season that the NCAA was currently looking into investigation for Compton University on numerous counts and numerous crimes that's been going on campus due to some of the former students from Compton basically talking about how the athletic director, John Johnson, and the president, aka the principal of the school, Crenton Porter, was doing a lot of illegal stuff on campus and was breaking a lot of NCAA rules and was breaking a lot of federal rule and breaking laws actually for the university and in general. So the NCAA looked further into the investigation throughout the year. As the year went on and Compton played football, behind the scenes, numerous players got in trouble just for Crenton to flat out sweep them under the rug and not really care about the players getting in trouble. Meanwhile, Nipsey, again, didn't like how Crenton was so nonchalant about his players getting in trouble. See, Nipsey wanted to discipline his players. He wanted to make sure his players were men and make sure they learn from their mistakes. You understand that they're college kids and they're young, but they have to learn the consequences of their action. Granson, on the other hand, just said, just let them play. So, unfortunately, Nipsey's hand was forced in that situation. Now, the NCAA went up to, Compton University, and they said, we have two options. We got a ban or probation. Now, those are the two things that were the case before they heard about all the laws that were being broken on campus and the fact that this was now a federal police matter as well. Not only was this an investigation, NCAA investigation, this was a police investigation in general due to the president and the athletic director. Basically, to sum it up, being Diddy and Vince McMahon. If you know, you know. Basically, being the Diddy-Vince McMahon combo, along with R. Kelly as well. They were basically the they were all three of them fused into one, along with Bill Cosby as well. But they were doing numerous other heinous acts on campus that a lot of the girls talked and opened up about how the president and athletic director will go to college parties, they'll hang out with the students, and they will do a lot of sneaky shit that made the girls on campus feel really uncomfortable. But the players were the people who made the females on campus feel comfortable, and Nipsey Lamar made them feel comfortable on campus. He always checked in on them, make sure they were okay, make sure they were on class, make sure they're going to class on time, make sure they were safe on campus and all that. Nipsey actually tried to make sure that the campus was safe for the kids because he knew those were the most important people on campus, the kids. He cares about the kids more, just as much as he cares about his players. Because at the end of the day, they're all the same people. They're all kids. So when Nipsey started to hear rumors about the investigation, he talked to Jason Jenkins, he talked to AJ Ortiz, he talked to Dan Perkins, he talked to Dred Hurst, he talked to his former players about what was going on at the Compton parties, in which they explained to Nipsey that mainly the athletic director and the president basically went to almost every single party they had every single week, every single month. They were at all the parties. Now, Nipsey found this weird, and that's why I said in the other video, explaining the investigation before the season started, that Nipsey was trying to do his own investigation on the low, trying to see what was going on behind his back, because Nipsey didn't know what was going on campus, and even the victims came out and said Nipsey Lamar and the football and the players on campus and the players on that team had nothing, and they meant nothing to deal with this entire situation. They were all completely innocent because they actually cared about them. They party, they all have fun and all that, but they knew that they actually looked out for them. They know they actually cared for them, and even the players knew about the parties that was going on campus, but just that they never came to their coach about the situation, because you never really want to come to you really don't want to talk to your coach about how you're partying. That is like trying to tell your boss about all the crazy ass parties you go to, even though you know you're gonna get in trouble for going to the parties and arriving the next day hungover. Even though Nipsey knew they were going to parties, he didn't know what was happening at the parties. So the NCAA decided that there were two options for Compton University. They told Nipsey, told the athletic director, and they told the president as principal, Crenson Porter, that you guys have two options. Now, they could either erase and suffer a lifetime ban, erase the history of Compton, and also suffer either a max lifetime ban or minimum 8-year to 10-year ban. But their records, their awards, everything that they did in the 10 seasons will be erased from history if they take option one. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Option one is they could either suffer maximum a 10-year ban, minimum 8, 8, 9, 10 years at most ban, or the option two, they stop the program in general and keep all the records, they keep all the trophies. Since Compton was a fan favorite and Compton brought them in a lot of money, they decided that, hey, maybe you guys could just stop the program in general and go out the way y'all did. To stop the program in general, y'all could just go out being 10-time national champions. You guys are being kept on the record books and everyone wins here. But in reality, the people who are suffering are the players and the coaching staff because they're going to be out of a job. And a lot of the kids who came to Compton just to play football are going to be forced to go into the transfer portal or forced to go into the draft. So Compton University decided to stop the program. Option two, stop the program, let the program just phase will still be in memory, but also a lot of this new generation, they remember Compton, but not as much as the previous generations did, and not as much as a lot of other people did. Fast forward 8 years later, from 2015. 2015 was the last time people saw Compton, and that was in a national championship. 8 years later, in 2023, a new face will be the president and / athletic director of the school. He will be both. That person will be Jason Jenkins. He will be the new president and the new athletic director of Compton University. But he knew that something on campus wasn't right. So he took it upon himself to try to fix things. By that, you guys are going to have to tune in tomorrow for when I explain how Jason Jenkins is going to try his best to bring back the program and what was happening at the parties. So the NCAA decided that there were two options for Compton University. They told Nipsey, told the athletic director, and they told the president as principal, Crenson Porter, that you guys have two options. Now, they could either erase and suffer a lifetime ban, erase the history of Compton, and also suffer either a max lifetime ban or minimum 8-year to 10-year ban. But their records, their awards, everything that they did in the 10 seasons will be erased from history if they take option one. Again, I'm going to repeat it. Option one is they could either suffer maximum a 10-year ban, minimum 8, 9, 10 years at most ban, or the option two, they stop the program in general and keep all the records, they keep all the trophies. Since Compton was a fan favorite and Compton brought them in a lot of money, they decided that, hey, maybe you guys could just stop the program in general and go out the way y'all did. To stop the program in general, y'all could just go out being 10-time national champions. You guys are being kept on the record books and everyone wins here. So, 8 years after Compton University was no longer had a football program, they decided to turn a new leaf. Of course, after the whole incident and tragedy thing, they didn't really have a principal or head or president of the school. They didn't really have that. So they looked to an old friend, the person who started this entire program, Jason Jenkins, the former quarterback and the first quarterback for Compton University. Now Jason's impact basically started the whole thing for Compton. He basically started this whole entire program, to say the least. Without him winning Heisman and going first overall, he basically put Compton on the map in their first year alone. With him doing the unthinkable, having an unknown school basically have a Heisman Trophy win in the first year. So after Jenkins' NFL days, he decided to see if he could be the president or the principal of the school, Compton University. They accepted him with open arms, and he is the new principal of Compton. Now, the year, like I said, it's 8 years after 2015. We're currently in 2023, in which Jenkins has this idea. He first talked to Nipsey about it. He told Nipsey that he wants to go to the NCAA and talk to them about possibly bringing back Compton University and reinstating their football program, even though he knows it's going to be a very hard task, even though they said that you have to stop the program in general. But one thing that they never said was, they never said anything about it coming back. They just said they had to stop the program. They never said that they could make a comeback. So Jason Jenkins told Jason Jenkins and Nipsey, they were on the phone for a good minute, and Nipsey basically told Jason, if you can bring this program back, I might come back. I might come out of retirement and I might come and coach. So here's what he did. Jason Jenkins, along with an entourage of former Compton University players, some as you see on the screen, from the original roster, guys like Fulton, Bradford, Joseph, AJ, Jason, Drew, Dred Hurst, Dan Perkins. The list goes on of the amount of Compton alumni / Toronto Dragons players who also helped the program and also basically mentored most of the players that are in the NFL. And also they liked Compton University as a program because they could relate to each other. Toronto was that new team in the NFL that everyone slept on and they didn't expect to be dominant. Same thing with Compton. Both of them can relate to each other in a lot of ways. So the fact that they were connected, well, it always holds a special place in both teams' hearts. So what they did was they went together, including the greatest athlete of all time, Donovan Rose. He also attended the NCAA meeting. Now the meeting lasted up until an hour long. Unless everybody was there and they was talking to the board. This was after the national championship in which Georgia decimated TCU. That's when Jason knew that Compton needed to make a return because they couldn't sit back and watch that shit. Watching teams like TCU make the national championship and getting mollywopped by Georgia, even though 77 to nothing against Texas A&M in that championship happened with Compton. That's neither here or there. So basically, Jenkins had the final remarks of what he thinks of the program and why he thinks it should come back. Here is what Jason said. So, Jason Jenkins, I'm quoting Jason Jenkins on this one. Jenkins got on the board, and here's what he said. To the NCAA, I know it has been a rough couple years. I know a lot of things have happened, but a lot of things has changed since I became the president and principal of Compton University. I will also take over the athletic director portion of the university as well. I will be working a double job. Now, we're not the same Compton team that we was when we first started. We're under new management. We have a brand new staff, a brand new team, and these kids, a lot of people on this campus, they want to bring back Compton University. More importantly, the fans. Think of how college football is nowadays, how a lot of teams focus more on the pass and how they have a great defense and how they get DBs who could possibly play both sides of the ball, can catch the football like a receiver, but can defend like a corner. That's what Compton University was. We helped transcend what football is today along with the Toronto Dragons. We helped transcend football as a whole. Now I know there's a lot of controversy, a lot of bad name that happened with our program. A lot of things happened. But That was in the past. That was under a corrupted management. And as a former student of the university, quite frankly, I never liked Grenson Porter anyways. But what I'm here to say to the NCAA is that Compton University, think of the program when what the program in school have done for the community. People who went to Compton, who lived in Compton, guys like Drew Holmes, guys like AJ Ortiz. Look at all those guys who went to Compton, who lived in Compton for most of their lives. And the moment they heard about a school opening up and they had a football program, they not only was they out of the hood, they also was able to take school a little more seriously and still be close by their families. It was a win-win situation for them, and they got to perform at the top highest level in the NCAA in Division One ball. And that's exactly what we did. We took a lot of guys that people slept on, that people didn't expect to be anything, and we turned them into stars. Look at Dred Hurst. Arguably, not even arguably, the greatest college athlete of all time, winning 3 Heismans and 3 national championships. No one expected Hurst to be the player that he was his freshman year. I remember people were bashing Dred Hurst, saying that he's arguably one of the worst quarterbacks in Compton University history. Hurst knows it firsthand, but he went from that to arguably one of the best in the entire nation and one of the best this school had to offer. And think about that. Think about how that brung in recruits, how that brung in fans. Fans were invested to see how one person single-handedly won 3 straight Heisman Trophy awards. That has never been done and won't be done in the history of college football. Also, look at the amount of records. Look at our stat sheet. Look at everything that we have done. We are the first school. And I know you guys are not going to admit this. And I know the media does not, talks about it from time to time. But they don't talk about it as much as they talk about Mahomes 24/7. What we did was we won 10 straight Heisman Trophy awards. What university? What school? Not even your Alabamas, not even your Georgias, your Floridas, your Florida States, your Oregon, your Texas A&M, Texas, the USCs. Not even those schools has had 10 consecutive Heisman Trophy winners. We had me, we had Fulton, we had Drew, we had Hurst 3 times. We had Luke Cook, we had Ty Verix, and we had Kevin Jermaine back to back. Think about it. Think about the history that this university created, and not only that, think of the fans and how many fans televised to all of our games. Every game that Compton University played after their second season was like a big game atmosphere, especially when it was against a ranked team. You guys knew that the whole entire country was invested and that they wanted to watch to see what is Compton University going to do, because y'all know every time we had a game, we either dominated or it was a great game between 2 great teams. That's what Compton University is. That's what we are. And if we bring that back for today, I promise you, we will triple, we will double the amount of money that you guys made in the first 10 years that we did. You guys will make more money now. And I know you guys have your new conference realignment and all that. We're simply asking to be part of the independence again. We'd like to schedule our own games like we did before, go up against our own teams. Now, eventually, when the time is right, if you reinstate this program, we would like to join the Big Ten along with our rivals, Cal and USC and UCLA. We'd like to join them in that conference because, quite frankly, we have some unfinished business with most of the teams in that conference. But enough about that. Also, NFL play. Look at the NFL players that went to Compton most of these guys are Hall of Famers. Roger Joseph, Lehigh Fulton, Cameron Owens, Dan Perkins. The list goes on of a lot of Compton players who are first ballot Hall of Famers in both college and NFL. For example, look at Lehigh Fulton. Lehigh Fulton has been consistent throughout his entire career, going over 1,000 yards each and every single one of his seasons. He has went over 1,000 yards, being one of the most consistent and one of the best receivers in the league, along with guys like Roger Joseph who hold their own. And also, I can't really speak for myself because, unfortunately, I played for the Bears, and The Toronto Dragons, quite frankly, kicked my ass most of the time, but that's neither here or there. Also, guys like Travis Tate dominating defense, and you guys want to talk about how defense is, not really the same, because I know a lot of the people in the media don't like, all the fans don't like how defense was. You guys remember how our defense was? We dominated. We left teams on either 14 or they were lucky enough to even get 20 points on us. I know some of you guys didn't like those type of games, but that's what it was. Every time Compton was up against tough competition, we didn't choke. We dominated. We left it all on the field, and the fans loved it. The fans came back every time. And also think about the amount of celebrity support that we had. Guys like Kendrick, guys like Snoop, guys like Dr. Dre, guys like Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, Ice Cube. The amount of celebrities that supported this program helped made it to what it is and helped made it even more popular, even though at the time we could not get paid for most of the things that we were doing, but they were helping the program in general by promoting the program. Some of them were wearing shirts, even though they couldn't really have our jersey numbers on them, but they helped made Compton more visible, and they helped made Compton more loved. And the more loved the Compton was, the more dominant we was, and the more that people wanted to see more of Compton. Nowadays, you guys have teams like Georgia thinking that they're the best dynasty, or teams like Alabama thinking they're the greatest dynasty in college football history, when in reality, they're not. I'm going to tell you this right here, that's AA. You guys are probably not going to like this. All of your teams, all of your precious, prestigious schools, we have beaten, we have dominated, and we have decimated them all in our time. Think about it. Can you name a time when UCLA beat us? USC only beat us once, and they never beat us again. Think about that. Think about all the prestigious teams, the Floridas, that we had a pleasure of having a great rivalry with. It was a great rivalry with Florida. The great rivalry with Michigan, which was an underrated rivalry that we had, even Ohio State. All the prestigious schools we had great games and great rivalries with, and I'm pretty sure if you reinstate us, they will love nothing more but to get another shot at us. Cause think about it. Look what we did in their primes. Look what we did when they had national championship level teams, and we just decimated them like it was nothing. Think about that. Think about the fans, and think about how much they are going to love this. How they're gonna love that Compton is back, and this generation could see how dominant Compton could be. And think about the amount of recruits and former players are gonna be interested in this university. Because think of all of the things that Compton University has done. Numerous national titles. Nipsey Lamar is the only head coach in college football history to win 8 national championships, let alone all of it being in a row. And think about what this program has not only done for you, but for the community and for the players. It helped trajectory a lot of people's lives, who these kids, guys like Drew Holmes and A.J. Ortiz, they didn't see themselves being multiple time Super Bowl champions and arguably the best in their positions in both pros and college. They didn't see that. They just thought, I'm gonna play football. I'm gonna try to achieve my dream. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It was meant to be. It was meant to be. Because look at all the people that you see here today. Look at Nipsey Lamar, arguably the greatest head coach in sports in general. Excuse me. What I'm saying here is also think about the matchups. Ooh, I got your attention with that one now, did I? I got your attention with the possible matchups that you guys could have. See, I said it before, independence. We just want independence. That's all we want. Then eventually, when the time is right, we'll like to go to the Big Ten, as I stated before. But we'll like to take on teams that think about this as a money grab, because I know you guys love that now, even more than y'all did before. Think about it. Deion Sanders and Colorado take on the returning Compton University Generals in a primetime game, and Compton's wearing all black. See? I saw a lot of you guys nod your head. I see a lot of guys like that idea. I got another one. How about we renewed one of the best rivalries that we have had, and arguably one of the greatest rivalries of the 2000s heading into the 2010s. Compton, Florida. Got y'all with that one too. Compton in Florida. Well, we always went back and forth. It was always fun to watch, especially in the national championship games. That's when Florida and Compton excelled expectations and were very fun to watch. Of course, USC, UCLA, California, Stanford. Of course, those are all teams we want to go up against. Also, Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State, and also Alabama. I got you out that one too, because I know you guys love Alabama. I know, and it's a little bit personal for me and a lot of these alumni. Alabama thinks that they are the best dynasty in college football, but in reality, they haven't won 8 straight national championships, nor had 10 straight Heisman Trophy winners, and let alone had any, let's just say, any Alabama quarterback that has really succeeded in the NFL. As you see, well, most of us, we have. We're not bust. We bust our ass. We tried our best. Dealt with the cards that we were dealing with. I'm gonna say that I had some off days. I wasn't really the best because, again, I played for the Chicago Bears, going up against the Toronto Dragons 2 times a year. Ex Hunter Tate, Dan Perkins, and for former Toronto Dragons players have those games went. They didn't really go well in my favor, but that's neither here or there. But think of also, speaking about NFL talent, think of all the NFL talent that Compton had. Cameron Owens, had one of the greatest wide receiver seasons of all time. Joseph, like I said before, one of the most consistent receivers in NFL history. Dan Perkins broke the record for most picks in a single season. Come on now. So what I'm saying here is NCAA, and I'm going to end this on this remark. Think about the money. Think about the fans. Think about the community. Think about how much they could impact them again with the resurgence of Compton. Because Compton was this city's life. They loved Compton. They always came to the games. They always came to the rallies. And it always kept people off the streets. Instead of people killing each other in the streets, they just said, yo, you want to watch the Compton game? They either got tickets, they either went to a friend's house and they watched it, chilled out a barbershop, chilled out a restaurant, and watched Compton University. That's how big we was for this program, for this entire community, and for the world, and for the college football world. So, I'm going to end this here. You bring us back. We will bring you more money. We are a better school. We're under a better system. And I promise you this. Promise you. Compton University will be on the mountaintop once again as undoubtedly the favorites as we was every single year. Getting better and better at recruiting and making better prospects for the NFL draft and also providing futures for all of these kids who want to be in the NFL. I am Jason Jenkins. You guys have my number. You guys know where I'm at. Call me when you guys have a response and an answer. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Back for a teacher. We're back at it again. With the aftermath of Compton University after NCAA 25. If you guys are new, man, subscribe, notification if you're new. If you guys did not go check out last episode, go check that out. Link is in the description. In which this is the current situation. After Jason Jenkins had his meeting with the NCAA board talking about the possible return of Compton University, they told him to wait a little while. They'll give him they'll call him when they have information about whether Compton will be reinstated or not. That's where we left off. We're fast forward 8 months later. The year is 2024, and it's a couple of weeks before it's a couple days before the national championship between Washington and Michigan. Jason gets a call from the NCAA. The NCAA told Jason that they have made a decision, with the voting being an 85 to 15% differential in favor of Compton University being reinstated. Yes, for the 2024 and 2025 season, Compton University will be coming back to the college football world. and the whole sports world blew up all day, all week, even during the national championship, which was when Compton made their announcement that they were officially coming back. The whole sports world went crazy, and to a point where ESPN were posting old Compton games on YouTube. A lot of old broadcasting stations, even the NFL Network, was playing old Compton games just for some of these youngins to understand how dominant Compton was. Now, Jason knew he had to address the elephant in the room, and that was who was going to be the head coach, the players, and recruiting, and of course the quarterback. But first, who's going to be the head coach? Now, immediately when he thought about this, Nipsey Lamar automatically called him and he told him, he said, "What time should I arrive on campus?" That was the entire discussion. A couple hours later, Nipsey is in Compton at the university getting welcomed with open arms, filled with cheers, and everyone loved the fact that Nipsey was back and he was the head coach. A lot of fans love that too because a lot of people love the Nipsey's coaching style. And a lot of these coaches nowadays was inspired off of Nipsey's coaching style. Now, on to the players. Of course, they're going to have some walk-ons, but they heard some rumors, some intel from some old friends that some of their sons don't like their current situations. Or, well, also, that some of their sons might flip and come to Compton. The sons are, well, the names are going to sound familiar to you guys. So the moment Jason heard the news, he told them, send them over. We're going to need as much help as we can get rebuilding this program. The moment they heard about that and Compton coming back, they decided, you know what, we're in. So the players that are making the return, and the first we're going to break it down to two things. The transfer players first, and the freshman recruits that will be coming this fall to come playing for Compton, which are transfer players. 5-star strong safety Hunter Tate, previous school was the University of Florida. 5-star wide receiver Javante Adams, previous school was Ohio State. 4-star cornerback Custy Hitchcock, previous school Miami. 4-star guard David Chandler, previous school is Oklahoma. 4-star Raymond Gregg, previous school Alabama. 3-star Bobby Gordon, linebacker Bobby Gordon, previous school Georgia Tech. And 3-star wide receiver Justin Sweeney, previous school was Oregon. Now the freshman recruits. 5-star player free safety Sean Taylor Jr., State, Florida. 5-star wide receiver Axel Fulton, State, Florida. 5-star athlete Kirk Fulton, State, Florida. 4-star running back J.J. Ortiz, State, California. 4-star cornerback Joey Vung, State, Pennsylvania. And 3-star athlete Jerome Bradford, State, Nevada. Now, like I said, these names sound familiar to you guys because you guys have heard of their dads. Well, your guys' ears and eyes don't deceive you. They are the sons of former Compton and Toronto players, in which these group of guys, all know each other growing up, but mainly in particular, Hunter Tate, Javante Adams, Custy Hitchcock, Sean Taylor Jr., the Fulton twins. Yes, Lehigh Fulton had twins. J.J. Ortiz. They were the squad, and Joey Vung. They were the people who were very, very the most close to each other, and they all played ball. Some of these players played ball together on the same state, going up against each other. For example, Sean Taylor Jr. and Travis Tate took on the Fulton twins in a classic, one of the greatest Florida high school games that year, and one of the greatest high school games that year. But Sean Taylor Jr. and Hunter Tate both played the same positions as their dads. Both of them were in that secondary together, being the most feared safety duo in the entire nation. So the fact that they're coming back and they're going to be a unit once again, and Hunter's only a year older than Sean. That was the only difference, a year difference. The Fulton twins, they dominated Florida and they did their thing. Javante Adams had his opportunity in Ohio State, but he never really got any playing time. So when they heard about Compton University coming back, a school that they were familiar with, a school that they used to hang out with, that was their, for the summer, they used to go there. Every time Compton University had a spring game, their dads will literally take them out of school and drive or fly them out to Compton for them to go watch that performance. And also, they've been to multiple Super Bowls together as a group, and they've been to multiple national championships as a group. They've seen their dads be in their primes, ball out in person, and they love nothing more but to go to Compton because they're familiar with Nipsey. Nipsey always saw the potential in all of these guys. All the guys that I've mentioned for freshmen and transfer players, Nipsey always told them that he would love to have them on their team for recruitment because he saw the potential and he saw how they were all throughout the years they were progressively getting better. They saw how they was for the Pee Wee football team, how they were at one point they were national champions of Pee Wee football. I shit you not. The players that you've seen on the screen, all together, were Pee Wee football champions for the whole nation. They dominated. Just like their fathers, they dominated. They did their own thing. And they went up against each other in high school and all that. That's when, when high school happens, some of your friends from middle school and elementary school, either they separate or you guys will still be cool, but don't really talk that much. But that's basically what it was. But for Hunter T, Javante Adams, Sean Taylor Jr., and the Fulton twins, and J.J. Ortiz, they all stood close to each other. They all kept in contact with each other after they went their separate ways for high school. Now, Jason and Nipsey realize that they have one problem. One major problem for this team is who's going to be the quarterback. They have the star power. They have the potential star power. But who's going to be the quarterback of the team? They could go for a walk-on. They could go for someone in a transfer portal and all that. They could. But all of them gave each other a look. And even the recruits gave a suggestion to Nipsey and Jason that they were all considering. They were all considering one man, one player, who they thought would be the perfect, and I mean the perfect fit to not only this offense, but this entire program. And I'm going to announce that this person will be the new main character of this entire universe. Remember how for Toronto and Compton back in Madden 06, Donovan Rose was the main character? This player will be the same, as he is the son of the greatest athlete of all time, not just in the NFL, no, genuinely the greatest athlete of all time in all of sports. You can name any sport, they will never fill what his father did, which is Donovan Rose. Yes, if you guys thought the reign of terror of Donovan Rose was ending, it was far, far from over. The moment he decided to bring his offspring, Jackson Rose, the new main character and the most important piece and important character in this entire series. There will not be a much more important character or player like Jackson. Jackson has not yet made his decision. That's the crazy part about this. He hasn't made his choice yet. No one knows where he's going. No one knows what school he's going to. He hasn't made his choice yet. So next episode, I will talk about the full story of Jackson Rose and him making his decision. He could mess around and not go to Compton. He could go somewhere else. He's getting offers from all over the place. But Jackson Rose, in a lot of people's eyes, is under a lot of pressure. So if you guys are new, man, subscribe, and I will explain tomorrow the full story of Jackson Rose. Will he commit to Compton? Will he not? If you guys are new, man, subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Alright, yo, it's back with TJ. We're back with another video in which today, as I left off last episode, talking about how Compton got reinstated, here today we are talking about the main character and the person who is next up in line, Jackson Rose, the son of the greatest athlete of all time, Donovan Rose. Now, if you guys have seen both the Toronto Dragons series and Compton series, but mainly Toronto, you'll understand why his dad is undisputably the GOAT of all GOATs. But we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about his son. So if you guys think that Bronny James is under a lot of pressure because of his dad in the NBA, that is nothing. And I mean nothing compared to the amount of pressure this kid is under. Being the predecessor or being the son of the greatest athlete in not only his respective sport, but in all of sports, and your dad win 10 MVPs, 10 Super Bowls, and being undoubtedly the greatest player in not only his era, but in all eras, puts a lot of pressure onto a kid. But what happened was Donovan decided to tell Jackson to focus on himself. Don't worry about the comparisons. Don't worry about me. I already had my career. It's your turn. Basically saying that I want you to make your own journey and I want you to have fun as a kid and enjoy your senior season. Anyways, that's what Jackson did. Jackson balled out, being undoubtedly the best player, and not only in the country of Canada, but also in his entire class. He was undoubtedly the best player in both the US and Canada. The point where teams were recruiting him endlessly. He was endlessly getting calls, emails, DMs, even mail about where is Jackson Rose going to go. So Jackson had offers, but this was where his mind was at in terms of the offers. He had offers from Florida, Ohio State, West Virginia, Colorado, Wake Forest, Tennessee, Penn State, USC, Washington. The list goes on and on of the amount of schools, even Alabama, Oklahoma State, Michigan. The list goes on of the amount of people who wanted to recruit and wanted to pick up Jackson Rose and have them on their roster for next season. Now, Jackson had a lot of thinking to do, but also Compton offered him a deal, offered him a scholarship, to say the least. They said Nipsey's thing was, he told Jackson, he said, because he basically knew Jackson his whole life. He said, yo, when you make up your mind, I'm not going to pressure you. I want you to make your own decision. I don't want to feel like that we're forcing your hand into coming over here. So he talked to his girlfriend. He talked to his father. He talked to his best friend, Javante Adams, who he actually talked on the phone with while he was driving around in California. Yes, Donovan Rose has a spare crib in Cali and also a crib in Toronto, but Jackson decided, spend a little time in California, hang out with the boys for a little bit. But when he talked to Javante basically told Jackson that we could do the one thing that our fathers never did. For years, we've seen our fathers be legends, be all-time greats. With Gabe Adams, aka Javante Adams' dad, being the greatest wide receiver of all time, and Jackson Rose's dad, Donovan Rose, being the greatest quarterback of all time, being the greatest duo in sports history, they have a lot of competition if they want to surpass their dads. Now, already, they have won championships in every aspect of football so far in their lives. They've won in Pee Wee football, 7-on-7, high school, and they have not yet won the Natty and Super Bowl. As I stated last episode, of that the quarterback of the Pee Wee National Championship team was Jackson Rose, and he was the MVP of the entire Pee Wee football league at just the age of 9. He was 9 to 10 years old, and he was undoubtedly from the time he was 7 to the time he started high school, he was undoubtedly the best player in all of Pee Wee football in the entire nation. Not just Canada, but also in the United States. People were hyping up this kid for a good ass minute. They watched him since he was a kid going up to what he is now. He's not like Julian Newman, where when the moment he went to high school, he immediately became a bust. No, he flourished in high school. Freshman, sophomore years, he developed into a megastar. Junior year, he was a star. Because needless to say, his senior year, he balled out even better than he did his first 3 years. Even though his first 3 years, he went on a three-peat like his dad. Won numerous state championships and was undoubtedly the best player on all of those championship teams, even for Javante in his senior season. Both of them are respectively the best players of that team. But the one person that deserved the praise was also Donovan Rose, and now he handled the hype that Jackson was getting. See, when Donovan Rose was coming up, a lot of people slept on him in high school. Then when he was at Ohio State, they saw the potential, and then he got in trouble, and that messed up his draft stock. He went undrafted, and then the moment he went to the NFL and played for the Toronto Dragons, that's when all the hype started. His son was getting hype ever since he was a kid. So what he told him his whole life was be a kid. Have fun, be a kid. Still ball out. I still want you to take this seriously, but I want you to have fun and be a kid at the same time. I don't want this to be all of your life and that you have to do this. No, he basically told Jackson that you have to balance your life out. You have to know when to deal with the pressure and also be yourself. Don't just because the media is forcing you to be somebody that you're not. Don't don't buy into it. That's basically what Donovan told Jackson. Don't buy into the BS that the media is telling you. And Jackson took with that motivation and he ran with it. He was himself. He balled out his senior season, like I said, throwing for over 3,000 yards, having over 30 TDs, was undoubtedly the MVP of the entire country, and was a unanimous All-American, and was unanimously the number one player in, like I said, both Canada and the U.S. Now, it was time for decision-making time, in which, as I said, Javante Adams talked to him. He said the Fulton twins, Hunter Tate, Sean Taylor Jr., and all the boys are all together, and they're all already committing to Compton this fall. They just need their leader, and Javante said the second best player out of the group. You know, Javante basically throwing a joke at Jackson, but they just said just laughed it off, them being dumb. So, but he seriously told Jackson to consider. So meanwhile, D Rose is talking to Jason and Nipsey about Jackson, and D Rose told them, he's like, "Look, I know this is gonna be official, but you guys gotta have a backup in this case he doesn't go. What if he goes to my alma mater, which is Ohio State? What if he goes there, which is the school that he was creeping in on joining? He was creeping in on going to Ohio State. If Compton didn't make an appearance, he would have already committed to Ohio State. He would already committed to his dad's former school. But the moment he heard about Compton, he was like, all right, I'm interested, because he was around that campus. He saw guys like Jed Hurst, Kevin Jermaine, Ty Verricks, Drew Holmes, Jason Jenkins. He saw all those guys in person. He watched all those guys as a kid. Now, the ball is in his park. This isn't Donovan's story. This isn't Jason's story. This is his story. Next episode, Jackson will have to make one of the most important decisions in his entire life. Which school will he commit to? Tune in next episode to see where Jackson Rose commits to. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'm out. Alright, yo, it's back with TJ. We're back at it again. And welcome to the final chapter of the aftermath of Compton University. If you guys are new, man, subscribe, notification if you're new. As you continue where we left off last episode, in which we talked about the son of Donovan Rose, Jackson Rose, in which we talked about his story and his journey to how he got to his point of his senior year. Now, we are on signing day, in which Rose has to make a decision, as you guys saw in the thumbnail of this video. All the schools that offered him scholarships, and those are the schools that are coming down to Ohio State, Colorado, Wake Forest, Penn State, Ohio State, Florida, USC, and Compton University are all the schools that Rose is considering to go to for the up-and-coming fall. So after weeks of consideration, after weeks of thinking about this, he decided to make his announcement on signing day at his school, in which he was with his father, his mother, and his girlfriend, in which he made the announcement, telling ESPN, which they have this live stream, by the way, and same thing with Overtime. This was live stream on multiple social media platforms, because the whole college football world was waiting to hear what was this kid's decision. It was just as big of a deal as LeBron becoming a free agent in 2010, choosing to go to Miami. That's how big the signing was. So, Jackson Rose decided for this up-and-coming fall, he would be attending the University of Compton. Compton University. He would be playing for the Generals in this fall, as he was close to picking up the Ohio State hat until he had it in his hand He dropped it on the floor. Not on the floor, but on the table, and he picked up the Compton hat, and he said he's going to attend Compton University. Now the crowd went crazy and social media went crazy. Social media was buzzing as he got asked numerous questions by reporters of why did he choose Compton? Why was Compton the decision that you made? Even though a lot of people figured that he would go to Compton, but a lot of people expected he'll go to Ohio State because that was the school he's been leaning on to for the last couple of years. Why would he flip and switch his decision all these years later? Why would he change to go to Compton? Well, here's what Jackson Rose said. I could build something here and create a new generation of football for this university. Think about all the great QBs that went here. Jason Jenkins, Drew Holmes, Jed Hurts, Ty Verricks, Kevin Jermaine. I'll be joining a very high class of some of the best college quarterbacks of all time. No one has dominated the college football world like Compton did. 10 Heismans and 8 national championships. This program was at the verge to achieve even greater heights and even greater things until the incident happened. I, along with everyone at Compton, wants to bring the school back to a powerhouse and show this generation how dominant Compton was and will be. In which he also stated that this decision came actually when Compton was announced. He kind of made his decision already because he kind of figured he was going to go there. He wanted to go there regardless. I mean, the lifestyle and him being on campus for all those years and him being so close to Nipsey Lamar, he didn't want to go to any other program where he didn't really have any chemistry with the head coach. Because he knew if he went to Ohio State, him and Ryan Day, it wouldn't really click the same way as Nipsey and Jackson would. Kind of like how Billy Baker and Spencer James was. The chemistry is unmatched. So if he was to go to Ohio State where Ryan Day was head coach, he would have not been himself. He felt like he would have not been Jackson Rose. But with him going to Compton, he feels like he will be himself. He will be able to fulfill his full abilities and be the player that he wants to be. Also, starting his freshman year, being the first Compton quarterback since Dred Hurts to start his freshman year. And he was the only quarterback. Jackson will now become the second quarterback in Compton University history to be a freshman and starting quarterback. Now, so the social media / sports world was buzzing. They were talking about this for a good ass minute. And a lot of people love the decision that Jackson went to Compton. A lot of people like the fact that, basically a lot of the people that we saw play for the Toronto Dragons and Compton University, all their sons reunited to play at Compton. Meanwhile, some social media critics, they didn't like the decision. They said that Jackson Rose was in over his head and that he'll never be much more than just the mid quarterback playing for a school that was once dominant over 10, 8, 9 years ago. They did that Compton University aren't going to go back to how they was before, and that the whole entire college football world has changed, and that a lot of things has changed since the last time Compton was a school and it was a football program. But the one thing that these haters fail to realize, that the way our college football is played now, that was, like I said in chapter 2, that was all Compton. That was how Compton was. Compton was that. Dominant offense, mainly focusing on their offense, and had a stacked defense that can come in clutch and make crucial stops, and had a secondary that can get interceptions and return it to the house. Great special teams unit, basically had the best returner of the year every single year, along with Heisman. A decent ground game that could either be that could be unstoppable, but also good, and also can help out the passing, ease up on the passing game a little bit. That's what Compton University football was, and that's basically what college football is now. And the fact that a lot of people are criticizing Jackson and saying that Jackson was better off going to Ohio State, because even though he would not be starter, he would have been, most likely Ryan Day would not send him to the Wolves his freshman year. He would have been able to develop. But Jackson didn't want to do that. Jackson wanted to be starter right away because think about it, he's had the years of development. He knows the college system already from the back of his hand. He knows it. But knowing it and playing it are two completely different things. Like I said, when we compare this to Bronny and how Bronny was, yes, Bronny went through some shit. This was just unfortunate. Bronny went through some shit. And even if after he still averaged 4 points per game, and a lot of people thought this kid didn't deserve to be in the draft, maybe because of his dad. But for Jackson, he wants to prove that. He's seeing how the media is treating Bronny, and he's taking that to heart because I don't want to deal with that situation. I don't want to be in that same predicament as Bronny, in which people are saying that I don't deserve to be here when I am better than all of them. I'm better than everybody who's critiquing me. And so is my father. My father is better than any athlete walking on God's green earth. And I'm the best high school player in the whole nation. So why not go to Compton? Why not go to the university that wants to prove that they want to be back on top and they have something to prove? Why not go to Compton, a team that people think that are outdated, that are not going to be back on top? Why go to a school like Ohio State where some people think they can win the Natty, but, there's still some doubts in them? No, he can go to Compton and align himself with not only his homeboys, the fans, but to a university who feels the same way he feels, who feels that he has to prove something. He has to be the man. He has to show the nation. He has to show the critics. He has to show the media that he deserves to be where he's at with no doubts, no hesitation, that he is the best. Without further ado, I will see you guys Monday for Compton University's return.